How's it going, everybody? You're listening to Trail Tales. My name is Kyle O'Grady. I am a thru-hiker. I am a peak bagger. And this is the podcast where I chat with other hiking nerds just like myself about their experiences on the trail. If you're new here, please hit that subscribe button. If you are not new, welcome back. I really appreciate you tuning in either way. This is a good one, folks. Caet Cash is on the show. She is so badass. She's done so much stuff. In this episode, we mostly focus on her current project, which is an attempt at being the first person to complete a single-year grid of the South beyond 6,000. Now, if you don't know what that list is, then hang tight. We're going to get to it in just a second. But we don't just talk about that. We jump all over the place. We kind of talk about thru-hiking versus peak bagging. We talk about the gas station slash ice cream shop slash little convenience store called Stewart's in northeastern New York. So shout out to Stewart's. We really kind of went all over the place with this one. It's mostly hiking though, don't worry. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. I don't think I've ever laughed this much during an episode. So I mean, it was just a blast. Caet, when you hear this, thank you so much for coming on. And let's do it again soon. Short intros, folks, that's the name of the game. But real quick here, before we get into the episode, I gotta plug the contact info, the social media, all that good stuff, at Trail Tales Pod on Instagram. If you haven't checked out the Instagram yet, you should really go do that. I'd like to think that it's a little bit different than most podcasts' Instagram pages. It's not just like constant plugs for the Patreon and constant links to the episodes and all that stuff. I mostly just post original photos that I've taken myself, try to get some discussions going in the comments section, and reposting various stories from cool hikers I see, cool photos I see, stuff like that. So at Trail Tales Pod, one more time, go check that out. The show has a Facebook as well, which I always forget to mention in these introductions. Trail Tales on Facebook, go look it up. And yeah, email is the last one. That's a pretty important one, trailtalespod@gmail.com. Send me some advice or just drop me a line, say hi. And if you do that, or if you just message me on Facebook or Instagram as well, and you want me to send you a couple Trail Tales stickers for free, I can do that. Just make sure to shoot me your address and I will get those out, and I can take over your water bottle and or your car windshield and all that good stuff. So yeah, trailtalespod@gmail.com. Quick iTunes review read, and then we're going to get into the episode. I'm way behind on these. This one says, "Happy trails made better." I don't really know what that means. "My wife and I have listened to all your episodes and we really enjoy them. You speak frank and upbeat and we love your guest." I think they meant guests, or maybe they just like one of my guests. I don't know. "That is refreshing that you aren't total PC and don't sugarcoat things. Thanks for the time and effort you put in. Keep it up." If anybody wants to go leave a 5-star iTunes review, it's a great way to help the show. And speaking of helping the show, shout out to my latest Patreon supporter, Eric. Everybody go check out the Patreon, patreon.com/trailtales. Let's get into the episode number 48 with Caet Cash. Caet Cash, how's it going?
Hi, how are you?
I am good. Are you excited to be on the podcast today?
I definitely am. I am still kind of getting over the fact that I'm on it and that I'm not listening to it. It's kind of weird to have you talk back to me instead of just a one-way communication. But yeah, it's pretty rad, and I am really excited.
Yeah, I'm very excited too. I didn't know you actually listened that much. I mean, I kind of assumed because you're a sister that you had heard a little bit, but how much did you? I'm gonna put you on the spot so hard here. How much have you actually listened?
Well, my sister has, this always happens with Sam. She'll be like, "Dude, listen to this podcast." And I was like, "Nah, man, I don't listen to hiking podcasts. I only hike. I don't listen to hiking podcasts." And then she was like, "Well, Philip was on it. You should listen to Philip's episode." And so then I listened to Philip's episode, and then I listened to Alton's episode. And you just do I'll just listen to one more, and you pick and choose. And And when you're all caught up, you just start listening to the new ones, which is what I'm doing now.
So you've heard all of them then? Is that what you're saying?
I haven't been back enough to the one. The only reason I know that I haven't listened to it is because you reference it. You just referenced it a whole bunch in 2 episodes back about the first Northville Placid Trail episode. I haven't gotten back to that one.
That's okay. The old ones are even more cringy than the current ones. So.
Oh God.
At least on my end. So that's okay. You don't have to go back that far. So everybody listening, Caet listens to Trail Tales. So if you're new here, you should be cool like her and listen as well. And I also want to give a big shout out to your sister, Sam. Sam, when you're hearing this, thank you so much. Sam has been a longtime supporter of Trail Tales, not just in that she's messaged me and given me feedback and all that stuff, but she's also been a longtime Patreon supporter, which is awesome. I don't really have too many of those, which is why I harp on it every single introduction. So everybody else, you should be cool like Sam and check out the Patreon. And shameless plug. Anyways, Caet, I'm so stoked that you listen to this podcast. That's good because you kind of know how this goes, which probably doesn't really matter that much. Most of my guests don't listen, but I don't know, just like a bonus, bonus points there. So that's.
Oh yeah. No, for sure. I definitely have like I said before we start recording, like if you don't ask me for my hiking story at the end, I will ask you. I have been waiting for this moment.
Perfect. I see you're already taking after like some of my mannerisms too. I've heard a couple like for sure's in there, and you'll probably be saying like a bunch by the end too. So good stuff. Anyways, so you were one of the most requested guests I've had in a long time, and what's funny about that is most of the requests came in after we had already set up a recording, basically, or after we'd at least like talked about recording. We hadn't like picked the day yet, but after we had that initial conversation, it was like my listeners just read my mind, and they were like, "You have to have Caet on. You have to have Caet on." And I was like, way ahead of you guys. So here we are.
Yeah, my shameless plug for the Patreon again. My sister, she said that you put out a little bit of Patreon content that I would be on the show and that I was quote unquote highly requested. And I was like, dude, like you didn't have to put in that many requests for me. Like that's really embarrassing.
Yeah, it was all her.
Yeah, like it's just my sister with, like different accounts. So.
That's a lot of work. A lot of emails, a lot of Instagram accounts and stuff like that. That's pretty funny.
Purposefully misspelling my name, so it still might have been Sam. Not sure.
I don't think it was. I think people really want to hear about what you're doing because you are doing something. I think it's pretty unique right now. I'd never heard of it until you were doing it. So we're gonna get into your background and your history and all that stuff in just a second. But first, okay. Since I just said that, people are probably like, "Okay, Kyle, what is she doing then?" So why don't you go ahead and explain that right now? Okay,
cool. So my most recent project involves the South Beyond 6,000 Feet Challenge, or the Southern Sixers Peaks. And so those are a collection of 40 peaks south of the Mason-Dixon line and east of the Mississippi that are over 6,000 feet. So it's a peak bagging challenge that's very similar to the Adirondack 46ers, or the Northeast 4,000 footers, New Hampshire 4,000 footers, all of that good stuff. And this challenge has really evolved for me. When I first started doing it, I was like, yep, I think I'm just gonna do a grid of the Southern Sixers over a couple of years. And then in July of this year, I did my first round of 40, and and I haven't stopped. So yeah, I'm going to continue to try and do complete rounds of the Southern Sixers for as long as I can, hopefully through winter. It's not only the first time a single year grid has been attempted to my knowledge, but the first grid as well. Peak bagging is not really peak bagging is not like really a thing down here. and we can talk a little bit more about that. The example that I always use is my first round, the first time I did the Southern Sixers, there were 6 people in my like class in 2015, and in my Adirondack 46ers year, there were like 2,000.
Yeah.
So, you know, like it's definitely really different, and it's really cool to you know, one, just like explore these peaks, and 2, there's just there's not so much information about these peaks, so like being able to be a resource to folks is really awesome. And you know, like that's one of the reasons why I'm trying to document what I'm doing as much as I do, because I love these peaks. I want to get more folks down here, and it's badass, man. Like, it's the peak bagging challenge for the highest peaks east of the Mississippi.
Which is really cool.
Oh yeah, they're so cool, man. They're so cool.
I wonder if this is the first like podcast that's covered this. Maybe, I don't know. Not that it really matters, but just, I mean, the reason I kind of asked you that question there is because I don't really know very much about these peaks. I mean, I know of some of them, but I had never heard of this list before. I kind of stumbled upon your Instagram and your contact info and all that stuff. And like you just said, you're the first person that's going to be gridding, hopefully. Well, first person probably even attempting to grid these peaks. Is that accurate, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, to my knowledge, I'm the first person to even attempt a grid of them. And again, like, it's, you know, it's not that I'm like bigger or stronger or a faster hiker than anybody out there. It's just that, you know, I'm, you know, the first, like, I'm from the Northeast, and I have sort of that like Northeast peak bagging knowledge. And so, yeah, I mean, pretty much what happened and what the inspiration was, I was up in New Hampshire a little bit over the winter, and I was just finishing up a red line of Great Smoky Mountains National Park. And I was like, oh, like, what am I going to do after I'm done redlining the Smokies? And a friend and I went up and we did a single day PEMI. And like, just being up there, I was like, oh, like, gridding's a thing. Like, gridding's a thing people do. And I was like, oh yeah, like, I'll just grid the Southern Sixers.
Easy.
And like, yeah, like,
make it sound so like nonchalant, like it doesn't even. That's next, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of like, I really expected the Smokies to take longer, and like, I'm just somebody that always has to like have a project. So I was like, yeah, man, like a grid will take me like a long time. Like that'll be good to focus on. And then I technically started my grid in February while I was still working on my Smokies peaks, and and sort of along the way, I discovered another hiker who is up in New Hampshire, and who's doing some really cool stuff up with some peak bagging lists up there. And his name was Philip Karsha.
I've heard of him before. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, me too. And so, yeah, that's sort of like what inspired me. Because I thought of actually doing a calendar year grid, but I was like, oh shit, well, like, you know, the time's not really right.
Yeah, you'd have to wait.
Yeah, and I was just like, fuck, like I don't want to wait. And so then when I saw him, you know, like just the concept of a single year grid, I was like, oh, like I really had to think about it for like I think like maybe like a month or two. I really thought about it. Okay,
so that's different than what you just said a few minutes ago, how you were just like, oh yeah, I'll just go grid the South, like easy.
Oh, no. So yeah, like I was like, I'm gonna grid the South over like 2 or 3 years. You know what I mean? Okay. And then yeah, and then like I found out what Philip was doing, and I was like, could I single year grid? No, I don't know, just playing with it. And then I did my first round of 40, and I was just like, yeah, I'm like gonna do this or run myself into the ground trying.
I gotcha.
Yeah, it was just like one. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Have you talked to Philip at all?
Yes. Yeah, actually, I have. I like just talked to Philip. Philip, like, he will like come into my DMs like once or twice, like once every month or like once every 2 months with the most inspiring shit you've ever read. And you just want to fucking like just like cry. And then, you know, like he just like trots off into the wilderness like dude, you are the fucking wolf, man. Like it's yeah, he's been
he's gonna love
really...
this. He's gonna love this when he hears it.
Yeah, so he's been super supportive. Actually, a lot of folks in the Northeast peak bagging community have been very supportive. Alton's been very supportive. I still have a few friends up there from when I used to live and hike in New York and in the Adirondacks. So yeah, I do feel like it's been really rad to like sort of see these like Northeast hikers that are like, yeah, man, like I don't know what you're doing down there, but like it's cool.
Yeah, well, it definitely is cool.
Yeah.
So I think I'm gonna take a step back here, and we're gonna go over, you know, who you are and how you get into hiking and all that stuff. But I had to have you explain that right off the bat there because it's pretty important, and I kind of mentioned it too. So at that point, kind of have to explain it. But anyways, yeah.
Okay.
So you have done a bunch of hiking, Caet. Actually, first of all, can we just acknowledge the fact that we were both on those Appalachian Trails calls like way back, like 4 years ago, whatever it was. Like I think it was
circa 2015.
Which is hilarious. And I like vaguely remember most of those calls because at the time I was like a sophomore in college still.
I know. You were like a wee little baby hiker.
And if I recall correctly, so what we're talking about, everybody here, is for you, if you haven't been in this like whole hiking world for the past, I don't know, couple years, anyways, a website called The Trek, which I'm sure pretty much everybody knows what that is.
Yeah.
That website was originally called Appalachian Trails, and back when it was called Appalachian Trails, well, I guess, I don't know, do you still work with The Trek at all?
I occasionally will do something for Zach if he needs me to write like something very, very specific. But not so much. I really think that site has like very, very much blown up and like, they're much more into vlogging now and all that good stuff.
Yeah. But so anyways, the trek used to be called Appalachian Trails, and back then, like you said, 2015, I think it was.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We both used to write for Appalachian Trails, and it sounds like, Caet, you're still kind of doing it a little bit here and there. I pretty much just like straight up stopped a couple of years ago, mostly because I just ran out of time with school and a bunch of other stuff going on in my life. So, but I did it for like 2 years. And anyways, we used to have these calls where Zach Davis, the guy who runs the Trek Appalachian Trails, would get like all the writers together, or some of them anyways, on a big Skype call. It was like once a month or something like that. And we would just kind of go over like what we've worked on and some of our ideas and stuff like that. And way back then, Caet and I were both like in those calls, and it wasn't like the kind of thing where you're like actually like talking one-on-one with people. It was more just like I just said, like everybody just go around the table pretty much and everyone gives their spiel. So we didn't really like actually talk to each other, but I just think it's kind of funny that like we were both on that. And so when I saw your name pop up on Instagram, actually, believe it or not, I'm pretty sure something from Philip's story was like the first time that I stumbled across your social media, and I was like, oh, wait a minute, I remember her from the Appalachian Trail days. Anyways, I just I had to bring that up, and it's also kind of funny because I like vaguely remember those calls because most of the time they were on Saturdays, I think, or like Friday nights, Saturday nights, and at the time I was literally living in a fraternity house, so I was pretty intoxicated for most of those calls. I don't know. I'll let you be the judge of it, but I thought I held it together pretty well. But that I was always like, "Fuck yeah, let's go talk to Zach," and like I was always so stoked on him. So
and a bunch of these random ass hikers.
Yeah, like a lot of like older people too. It was an interesting vibe. But he would always have us like hold up the drinks or whatever, and I was always underage, so I felt kind of awkward about that. But
I know. I was just about to call you out, and I was like, oh shit, like, do I want to drag Kyle O'Grady on his own podcast? Like, should I do that?
You can go there.
I'm glad you dragged yourself. That would have been
Sorry,
embarrassing.
Mom.
Oh God.
But yeah, that was always funny. But anyway, so through that whole experience, I know that you have done a ton of hiking, way more than I have, and I kind of want to hear about that. So we're gonna start from the beginning. First of all, how did you discover like through hiking and this whole hiking world beyond just the normal day hikes that the average Joe might do?
Okay. So I grew up not liking either outside or physical exercise. So I definitely think I was a little bit more of probably an unlikely hiker. But in 2014, I graduated from college, and I have a liberal arts degree. And I was kind of freaking out about like what I was going to do after I graduated. I was having some trouble finding a job. So I decided to take a little money and give myself a little bit of like some padding on my resume and figure out what I was going to do. And I decided to hike the Appalachian Trail.
See, that's interesting because I feel like most people are afraid that it would like hurt their like career opportunities, but you say like you did it to like pad your resume, and I'd read that you had written that somewhere online as well. So
yeah, well, I think that it does hurt your resume when you are a serial thru-hiker, which is what I would become. But at that point, I was like, I'll just do this one thru hike and it will be interesting and prove that I'm tenacious and brave and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And then I will never go into the woods again because I don't really like hiking. So that was my plan, and it didn't work out because I'm still hiking 5 years later. Yeah, so I hiked the AT southbound in 2014 and then caught the hiking bug pretty hard. I did a bunch of peak bagging stuff after that, the Catskill 3500 Club, my first round of South Beyond 6,000 feet too, as well. And then I did the Colorado Trail, some smaller trails, Bartram, the foothills, which we also have in common.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Although I had an awful experience on the foothills trail. I did not get good weather.
Yeah, you also did it a little bit faster than I did, so you probably didn't have... Although I was actually pretty out of shape when I did that hike, so it didn't really feel like I was doing it slower, but... You did it in February, right? Because I've read your article on the Trek about it when I was preparing.
It was awful.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it was terrible. Y'all do not do it in February. It is terrible. But it's always really interesting to, like, get feedback on different trails.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did little trails. Oh, and then I finished my Adirondack 46ers the same year. While I was still living in North Carolina. I came back from a wedding and like just knocked out like the last ones that I have of the 46ers. And then I did the PCT in 2017, also southbound. Pattern there for sure. Yeah. Smokies All Trails or redlining. That's more of a like northeastern term. So I redlined the Smokies. I hiked all the trails.
How many miles is that?
So the Smokies, it's much less mileage than the White Mountains redline, which is hell. I've looked at the map and it gives me agita.
Yeah.
The Smoky. Yeah, it literally looks like somebody took angel hair and just, like, splayed it onto a map. So kudos to anybody who's redlining the White Mountains National Forest. But the Smokies...
A little foreshadow for everybody listening. Most likely next week's guest is going to be someone who is redlined in the Whites. But anyways, I'm not going to cut you off. Most likely. Definitely. Most likely. If his internet works, then hopefully it'll happen.
That is rad. Because seriously... oh God. Just looking at the map like really gives me heart palpitations.
But how many miles is the Smokies?
Okay, so the Smokies, there are 797 miles of trail in the national park. And of course, you do more mileage than that. I ended up with around 1,100 miles to complete that.
Nice.
Yeah, well,
it's
a good chunk of change.
Trying to say it's like significantly less. That's still a lot of miles.
Yeah. Yeah, and then that brings me to my most recent project, which is an attempt at a single year grid of the Southern Sixers.
Did you say you had done the Northville Placid Trail too?
Oh, fuck. I forgot. God damn it.
That's how you know you're a hiker, people. When you've hiked so much shit that you start to forget stuff like that you've hiked.
And you know what? Oh, god damn it. And well, I'm glad that I told you about it. This is very sad. I like wrote down all my trails so I wouldn't forget them, and I forgot one. So, so my sister Sam is also a thru-hiker, so we did the Northville Placid Trail as a shakedown.
Gotcha.
So yeah, like she made it, so it worked.
Are you trying to throw shade there? She made it?
No.
As if someone you're talking to didn't make it?
No. So we actually we bailed on our first attempt at through hiking the Northville Placid Trail, which was totally my fault. I was an asshole.
Oh.
And I was like, yeah, man, we'll do 20s and we'll sleep like under an open tarp with no bug protection. And we promptly got fucked. It was also June, so you know. So we got pretty fucked and bug bitten and et cetera, et cetera.
I don't even want to imagine what that must have been like. Oh yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, I felt really bad as the person who had planned it all. I was working as a guide at the time, and I was like, oh, I think I'm like really bad at my job. But we went back and finished it. And it was much better. There was more bug protection.
Yeah. Good.
But
Good.
Yeah, man, that trail is, and I'm not making a pun, but maybe I am making a pun. It's pretty gnarly.
It is pretty gnarly. It is. And I mean, I'm not going to harp on this too much because I've said this so much at this point, but like, I feel like for its length and for its lack of elevation, that trail is like still just like on paper, it's so easy, right? But it's not like, I don't know. Everybody can go listen to the other episodes on that trail if they want to know why that is. But see, I'm glad I'm not the only person who's had to bail on that trail. I got to go back though. Yeah. I'm going to go back maybe next year, hopefully next year. We'll see. But
definitely go back and section it. And I do really think that it's definitely a fun little trail that should probably only be hiked in the fall.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Just away from the bugs. Yep. Like done and done.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's broken 3 through hikers. You, me, and my sister. So it's got a track record, y'all. Yes. And it's broken more than that, I can tell you right now. Yeah. I bet.
For sure. See, there's the for sure. I'm trying to cut back on the for sure's because people have started to like make fun of me for it and shit. But I mean,
my god,
it's kind of deserved. So I'm trying to cut back anyways. But there's one.
That's like personal style, and somebody gave you a really nice review about like being a good host. So like, just tell them that.
Well, I mean, like jokingly making fun of me. No one's like actually been okay. This host sucks. He just says and for sure every. So no, it's like it's fine, but I don't know. For sure, dude. Okay.
For sure.
So good. How you might have said this. You probably said this a few minutes ago when we were talking about the South Beyond 6000, but how far into the grid are you right now?
So right now I've done, so for my single year grid, I started doing rounds of 40, in July. So July, August, September. So 3 months and 5 peaks.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm not very far into it. It's sort of that's been a tough distinction. I kind of, I'm kind of kicking myself in the butt because like it's always been really important to sort of share what I'm doing, especially if it's like a random and not very well known thing, like the South Beyond 6,000 feet on Instagram. And then when I was like, oh shit, I think I'm gonna do a single year grid, it's kind of announced itself for me. Like people aren't stupid; they're like, we know what you're doing. But yeah, it's definitely lent like a little bit of I definitely feel like I have sort of like committed to it and announced that to the world before I was ready. I feel like announcing it at 3 months and before I've sort of been through the depths and the hell of winter it's a little premature, but I'm gonna, try my best to live up to it, and if not, like, I'll just still get a grid of it, and I'll be happy with that.
Yeah, definitely. I think you'll be okay though. I think you're. I mean, I guess I can understand how that would be. What's the word? I don't know. I can understand how that would be like a little daunting, like announcing to the world like that. But
yeah.
But you're good. You're good. It's funny, when I had originally reached out to Philip, it was in like January maybe, or like December of last year. So he was still only a couple months into his single year grid, and he kind of like neglected to come on until whenever we did our first episode. I think it was like mid-April, late April, maybe.
Yeah, I was going to say, it was April. Not that I've listened to the episode several times, but it was April. Yeah,
it was in the reason was the same exact thing you just said, pretty much. He just didn't want to get like too ahead of himself.
Yeah, for sure.
Which honestly, as someone who has never done anything like this, I never even considered that would be a concern. So, and I also didn't really realize it, because the reason I knew about his single year grid was because we had talked about it in person when I went through the notch on my AT thru-hike. I didn't learn it from social media because he hadn't really announced it on social media yet. So I guess that kind of makes sense. But thank you for coming out here and just kind of, laying it all out there like that and committing to it. I think you can do it. I know winter's coming, but let's be real. The South doesn't have winter compared to Vermont, so I'm not too worried about it. Not that I've ever hiked in the South during the winter, so I actually have no fucking idea, but it can't be that bad, right?
No, and our winters are definitely variable. I think just for me, the Blue Ridge Parkway winds through a lot of our high mountains, and so access to the mountains change, and so the routes will get quite a bit longer. I estimate about 100 miles longer per month. So that's definitely so regardless of whether it snows or not, the mileage is really gonna add up, and so that's sort of the big thing is access to these peaks, and it's definitely something that I'm like dreading, but that I'm excited for. I know these mountains really well, and I've been looking up alternate routes and bushwhacks and freaking like finding ways to bike up the parkway if I have to. But yeah, that's sort of like the main challenge. But like, we don't have like those like crazy alpine conditions like they do in New Hampshire. It's definitely like it's not of the same caliber at all. No. It's more like a challenge of monotony.
Yeah. So I know a little bit about the Blue Ridge Parkway, and by that I mean I know of the Blue Ridge Parkway. I've never really been on it.
You walked on it.
Oh, I guess that's true. But
the waysides, yeah, man.
That was our Skyline Drive. I guess that is the same. That was in the national park. But I guess even before Shenandoah, there was a little bit of a it did cross it a little bit.
It does a little bit, and the parkway connects to Skyline Drive, so like they're pretty similar. Like it's the same sort of like feel with the waysides.
So does that road go like pretty close to the summits of a lot of these mountains? Can you like literally just like hike like a half mile from the road to the top of some of these mountains?
So the answer to that question is yes, you absolutely can. You can drive to the top of some of these summits. You've hiked 2 of them on the Appalachian Trail, one which you can drive to the top of, which is Clingman's Dome. However, if you do that, you are not eligible to be accepted into the South Beyond 6,000 feet.
Okay, so that's kind of where I was going. I was wondering if there was some sort of like criteria there.
Oh, yes. Yeah, absolutely. So for the South Beyond 6,000 feet club, this like kind of drives me insane. You have to hike, like, it doesn't matter which mountain it is. You have to hike a minimum of 5 miles with at least 500 feet of elevation gain. And you have to, this is actually pretty similar to the Long Trail, because you have to document which route you took. Okay. So you know how like on the Long Trail they have you submit your journal? Yep. Yeah, it's like that.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So there's a little bit of paperwork involved. For me, it's just like, if you're doing rounds of 40 in 12 months of the year, it's just like, it's a lot of paperwork.
Yeah, I can imagine.
To keep track of that. But it's okay. There's a spreadsheet for anything, and my sister makes mine. So thanks, Sam.
Oh, nice. Another shout out to Sam.
Sam's going to get a lot of shout outs, and then I'm going to embarrass her publicly. So I'm looking forward to that.
She's probably going to not subscribe to the Patreon anymore after that, so you better be careful.
Oh, God. It's not that bad, I promise.
Okay. No, I don't think she'll unsubscribe. I hope not. I need her money.
Dude, I don't think she would. She's super nice. I promise, dude. I promise.
I don't think so. She's been so awesome for the show.
Yay.
So are there any other like quirks or caveats with this list? And let me explain that. For instance, I learned through this show that the Catskills 3,500 Footer Club has that thing where you have to hike a couple of them during the winter, which is like different from like the Adirondack 46 or the New Hampshire 48. So are there any like weird kind of unique things like that are involved with this list?
That is an excellent question. I think probably the weird ones are having to write everything down. A somewhat unique one is that about a third of the peaks don't have any discernible trail to the summits.
Okay.
And like the Catskill 3,500 Club, they are it's changing a bit now as it becomes more popular. But for the most part, they are true bushwhacks. So like much more true off-trail travel than you would get from like the Herd Pass in the 46ers, or up in New Hampshire. So that's pretty cool.
So did I hear a third there of the peaks are no trail?
Yeah.
So that's pretty crazy. I think I've probably said this before at some point on the show, but I'm not much of a bushwhacker, and by that I mean I'm not at all a bushwhacker. I don't know why I didn't just say that, but anyways, so I actually had another question written down about this.
Yeah.
So like, can you just talk about the bushwhacks a little bit? I mean, that's
totally.
Yeah. I'm just gonna leave it at that. We'll see where that goes.
Yeah. So the bushwhacks, I will say, and I have to shout out the Catskill 3,500 Club was my first peak bagging challenge. It's my home challenge. I'm from Catskill, New York.
Are you really?
Fucking hard. Yeah, man.
Side comment, I stopped at the Stewarts there right off the interstate when I drove down there.
Oh, the stews. Oh man, that's one thing I miss about New York is some Stewie's hot dogs and like some Mountain Brew. Oh.
How about the ice cream? I was going for more of the ice cream rather than the shitty beer, but I mean
you can always make a float. Come on.
That's true.
A Mountain Brew and like cotton candy is my favorite.
I love Stewart's. I just had to say that because I was going down there with
stews.
Shout out to all the New York people that listen to the show, or the northeastern New York people. Anyways,
yes.
And I was like going down there with a buddy who had never been to Stewart's before, and I was like, "No, we got to get ice cream at Stewart's." And we stopped, and he was like, "This is just a gas station. Like, I thought we were getting ice cream." I was like, "Just hang on, you'll see." You'll see. And then we stopped again on the way back, too, because it was so good. So, anyways.
Oh, dude.
Shout out to Stewart's.
Shout out to Stewart's. Please sponsor the podcast, Stewart's.
I would love that. I don't even need to be paid either. I'll just take some free ice cream. You can't get it up here in the Burlington area, so.
Don't tell them you don't need to be paid. You need to be paid, and then you need additional ice cream as well.
Paid in ice cream.
We just gave them a bunch of buzz marketing, so
I know. Maybe I'll have to send this to them or something.
Oh, we'll tag them. We will tag them on Instagram.
Tag Stewart's.
I'm sure they'll give you a bunch of money.
Everyone's probably like, "Okay, guys, we get it. Like Stewart's is sick." No, it's okay. I was the one that brought it up. I
know. I do feel bad, but it's just like, man, when you like bring on a listener who kind of already knows your personality, I feel like it's just like a ball that gets rolling.
It's fun for me, I'll tell you. I mean, they're always fun, of course, but I mean, I don't know. This is fun. Let's get back. So bushwhacking.
Oh, sorry, everybody.
Bushwhacking.
About mountains and hiking. Okay. Yeah, so around a third of them, I did do a count where technically 22 out of the 40 don't have trails to the top. And again, like these can range from pretty discernible herd paths to like, you know, you're absolutely covered in what we in the South call rhododendron hells to get to the top of peaks. But some of these are like really, really cool. One of the peaks on the list is, I've heard it either pronounced Gaio or Gaiout. And it is the tallest peak without a trail east of the Mississippi. It is fucking huge. You walk right past it on the AT, like right past it as you're going to Tricorner Knob Shelter.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's just like such a cool experience to be up that high with all these like dead and down Fraser firs, just like surrounding you, and there's just like a little cairn at the top, and it's just like, this is badass. So yeah, they definitely presented some challenges in the beginning. Like, I actually got turned back off of Gaio, during one of my first rounds, just like fucked up the bushwhack. But yeah, like now I love doing them. Like I know them pretty much like the back of my hand, which is like such a cool experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, like being off trail in the backcountry. If anybody looks at my Instagram, you know that I hike quite a bit at night. So like I don't know, man, like I just feel like a fucking superhero when I go out there and I'm like, oh, like I'm just like in the middle of the woods at night and I know where I'm going, and like it's just yeah, it's a really cool and rewarding experience.
So I haven't brought up snakes in a long time on this podcast because I haven't been talking about my thru hike as much, and most of the hiking I do around here, or all of the hiking I do around here for that matter, is without having to worry about snakes. Poisonous snakes, I should say.
Yeah.
So the first thing that came to mind when you were talking about how much you're doing off trail here in the South is that I would be super fucking afraid of stepping on a rattlesnake, honestly. Like, even when I was on trail, I was like super careful about that. Like, I can't imagine just bushwhacking. So I don't know, do you think about that much? Like, have you had any sketchy encounters? Like, snakes. Talk about snakes, or hopefully the lack thereof.
So snakes, not so much, but like, yeah, absolutely, that is the number one thing. Especially when I'm bushwhacking, and especially when I'm bushwhacking at night, that I'm looking out for. Because it does happen. It absolutely does happen. I'm not like crushing trail when I'm bushwhacking. I'm usually looking at my feet, like genuinely trying not to fucking like break something, or get bitten by something. I have not had any weird snake experiences.
Good.
Yeah, man, I am feeling good. Feeling pretty confident as I'm going into the winter months as well. So they won't be out as much. I see bear pretty frequently in Great Smoky Mountains National Park. Just like there's some weird shit. I almost hit an elk in my van going to a trailhead. That was pretty wild. That's like, and I'm not kidding, that's the worst animal experience I've had while gridding, is almost hitting that goddamn elk.
Jeez, I didn't even know they had elk down there.
Yeah, they reintroduced them in 2001 and 2002.
Okay. So it's fairly recent then. Okay.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and they don't usually get like high enough up to the Appalachian Trail. They like to stay like low in the valleys. So like you probably won't see one while you're through hiking. But yeah, nope, they are out there.
Interesting. So how do you navigate? Like when you're, so like I said, I've never bushwhacked before. There's probably some dude listening to this that knows everything about navigation, and he's like, all right, screw this loser, this newbie. But I am kind of curious how you go about the navigating when you're off trail.
Yeah. So when I first started bushwhacking and doing off trail travel, it was for the Catskill 3500 Club. So I started learning with like just a map and compass. And I'm really grateful for that. That was super, super helpful. Yeah, I mean, I started that list in like 2013. And now I'm a little bit more lazy. So I just have like a little phone handheld GPS. Most of the bushwhacks are pretty short. So like the longest bushwhack is around a mile each way.
Okay. So that's not too bad.
Yeah. So like they're not like any of the Catskill 3,500 Club ones where like, there's like 10 miles of bushwhacking. So they're really not that bad. You're just kind of like on trail for most of the time, and then you just like shoot up the side of a trail, summit, and then come back down.
Okay. So that's not too bad then.
No, it's really not. It's really not.
Good to hear. What would you say are some of your favorite peaks on the list, and why?
So my favorite peaks are 12 of the 40 are located in Great Smoky Mountains National Park. And 4 of them, 4 of them you've already done because they're on the AT. So they're Kligman's, Collins, Chapman, and Sequoia.
Okay.
So you already did this. Congratulations. 4 out of 40.
Thank you. I've been waiting for someone to congratulate me on those 4 peaks.
Yeah, man. Like, and all you need to do is come back and do the rest of the list.
What are they again? Klingman's. I wasn't even so stupid. I was taking your congratulations, not even listening. Klingman's, and what are the other ones?
So Klingman's Dome, obviously, and then Collins is like right next to Klingman's Dome.
I don't even remember that one.
No, I don't even think it's just probably like a bump on the map.
Gotcha.
But yep, Mount Collins, Chapman, and Sequoia are both. So they are both on the AT. Technically, to summit them, you'd have to just like run like up the side of the trail, and there's like a cairn up there, and you just like poke it and then run back. But they pretty much run over the tops of the Appalachian Trail.
Okay, well. Yeah, I had a pretty bad time going through the Smokies, so I remember Klingman's Dome, but that's about it. So,
but nothing else. I know. I always feel like Northbounders just get the Smokies at like the worst time.
Yeah, and to be fair, I was late, so at least I didn't get like snow and cold through there. Well, it was cold, but not like seriously cold. So it probably wasn't that bad, but it was very wet and not the most comfortable thing. But after I got out of the Smokies, I was like, shit, if I could make it through that, then like I'm probably good, honestly. and I was, so
yeah, like if I didn't die of hypothermia then, like I'll probably be fine.
Probably be good.
Yeah.
How about did you even actually get to answering the question there? I was
Oh no, I was just talking about the Smokies, and so
I keep cutting you off, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. We just keep going on tangents. That's fine. So there's the 4 in sort of the western part of the park, which are those 4. There are a couple that are off trail as well.
Okay.
But there are 8 in the eastern section of the park. None of them have trails, and so they are doable in like this nice and, in my opinion, neat little hike, which is my favorite hike. It's 38 miles. I usually do it as like what I affectionately call Midnight Madness. And it's just so much fun. They're super remote. You're in like the nation's most visited national parks on the 3rd highest peak in the park, and nobody is there. And it just feels like somebody fucking closed Disneyland and you're in there after dark all by yourself. And I just great. I just love it. Like every time I go out to do it, I'm just like put on my cute little hiking dress and just go crush. So those probably the 8 Eastern Smokies peaks are my favorites for sure.
Why do you hike at night so much?
Because I have a job.
Oh.
Honestly, yeah.
What's your job?
So right now, I work as a groups coordinator, for one of the adventure centers, here where I work in Asheville. So a lot of my shifts, will sort of like switch around. So sometimes, I'll be able to like work from 7 a.m. until 3, and then other times I can like go in at 3 or 4. And so what I like to do with like the remaining time is I just like see what I can do. And so I know I can do that 38-mile 8 bushwhack hike in 17 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I've had to do it and then go to work.
Jesus.
Believe you me, I was like running on the downhills to the van like, oh god, please don't let me be late. So yeah, like I hike a lot at night, and I think at this point I probably just have to like admit that I think I like it, and I know that sounds like super weird. I wish my 2014 thru-hiker body could like listen to that, because I hated night hiking with all of my heart and soul. But like I like being on trail by myself. I feel like I can concentrate more, like just the solitude, and I love the stars and all the little salamanders that come out. Yeah,
I guess it's probably a little bit easier, at least for the summer months too, since you're in the south.
Yeah,
you're not gonna have to worry about like being super cold like you would potentially certain times a year up here. And then also just during the day, like I can attest to how hot it gets even on the trail in the south from my thru hike. So that must be kind of nice as well, avoiding a little bit of that heat, at least the direct sunlight.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, we have some, there's also like some practical reasons. Like there's some really beautiful peaks that are included in this list, like the Roans, which you've also hiked. Yay! So there's 3. Yeah, there's 3 in the Roan Highlands, and like I do those as a night hike pretty frequently.
That would be sick, because they're so like grassy and open.
Yes. Yeah, when we had that meteor shower, like I was like, cool, well, I guess I'm going to the Roans tonight. Like, you know what I mean? So like that's not a chore. That's not a scary night hike. Like, you're just out there with like 5 miles of beautiful grassy bald all around you, and like the stars everywhere with nothing else. Like,
that gets me so stoked just hearing you say that, because the Roan Highlands was honestly one of my favorite parts of the whole trail, because I was such a northeast hiker and still am, and I was just not used to that, like the grassy balds and that stuff. So
yeah,
that was really cool.
I promise we have more of those grassy balds, and a lot of them are featured on this list. It's a really great way, like if you liked even a little bit of like what you saw on the AT in the south, like there's so much more, from like the spruce fir forests and in the Smokies to those beautiful grassy balds, like. And, like, what a better way to do that than, like, chip away at this list?
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. Do you sleep? Like, you're working, you're doing all, like, you're gritting these mountains that are not, like, terribly close together, a lot of them. And I know Asheville is close to the mountains, but it's a little bit down. So, like, how the hell do you make all that work?
I mean, I definitely... I do sleep. I definitely crash, like quite a bit. Like sometimes I'll just be like, sometimes I'll start to drive out for a hike and be like, no, like I really have too much to do at work. And then I'll just like work for like 12 or 15 hours until I'm, like I've just solved the problem at work, sleep for a couple hours, then like go grid.
Jesus.
Just because like it's just this like really interesting relationship of like it's not like a thru hike where like you just like get up every day and walk. You kind of just have to like keep balancing everything from like relationships to work to like, oh shit, I haven't called my parents in 2 months, like and it's just like this very finite balance where like nothing is ever in balance. But for me, I just take these like big swaths of either work time or like trail time and make it work as best as I can, and then sometimes cry in my van.
That's incredible. That is absolutely incredible. Yeah, so you just brought up your van there.
Yes.
I've seen so many like pictures on Instagram, and I'm not gonna hate too much on like the van life thing, but I'll be honest, it does kind of like make make me laugh a little bit. Like, there's definitely some sick
Oh,
vans.
it's so good, dude.
And like
It's
I'm not saying in your circumstance, but just like the general, I just feel like it's kind of like the term tramley. Like, it just makes me cringe. Like, van life, dude. But in your circumstance, like, I can absolutely see how it not only works, but how it like actually could help potentially traveling around to do all the hiking. So I do want to ask you about that. Yeah, tell me about that.
It helps so much. So I've actually been in the van for almost 2 years. So I moved into it right after the PCT, right after I finished it in 2017. So I've been home free for like 2 years or so.
Okay.
And it's just made like doing all these miles way easier. I'm not a digital nomad. I have no ebook to sell you. So I don't like do the whole like travel thing. But like what I use it to do is when I get off of work, like I'll go sleep at the trailhead or like sleep at a rest area on the way to the trailhead to sort of like break up the travel time. As well as like there is absolutely nothing better than getting back to the trailhead and you just like make yourself a big giant pot of mac and cheese
and you can just
tuna.
crash. Yeah.
Oh god, and you put on your Bob's Burgers and your slippers and like I'm sorry, like I will never live in a house. I could never give that up.
That's freaking awesome.
It just makes it so doable. I mean, just like from anything from breaking up the travel time. And my van is really, really small. It's a Ford Transit Connect, so it's got 4 cylinders, 25 miles per gallon. So yeah, it's nothing special. I don't have solar or water or anything like that, but like, I'm a dirty thru-hiker. I don't need any of that.
How do you shower then? Do you even shower?
Oh,
like, fuck it.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Like, just I do what a lot of van folks do. You just shower at the gym, which is pretty normal. You just get like a 24-hour fitness. Do that.
Do you actually like go to the gym in addition to all this freaking hiking, or do you just do it for the shower?
Fuck no, man.
Okay, I was gonna be like, screw that.
No, absolutely not. I hike a lot and I still eat gummy bears.
Good.
I was dying. Somebody like slid into my DMs and they were like, you should do a what's in your pack video. And I was like, it's going to be about like 5 different kinds of gummy bears. Like, you really want to know what's in my pack? Like, we could discuss Haribo or peach rings, man. Like, I don't know. I think I'm just a thru-hiker at heart.
That's awesome. Well, you're a peak bagger right now, so
yes.
That's another thing that I think's cool about your story is that, I mean, there's a lot of thru-hikers that peak bag and peak baggers that go for a thru hike, but like for the most part, I feel like they're kind of 2 different like hiking challenges. And I actually wrote an article for Appalachian Trails about this way back in the day. It's probably terrible. I don't even want to go and look at it, but I've always
please go look at it. Let's make this shit viral.
Don't even try. Don't even try.
Don't cut that. Don't edit it in post.
I won't. I don't know. I've always been just kind of drawn to I don't even know how to say this, like the comparison between those 2 types of hiking challenges, I guess. And I don't know, I just thought that was kind of unique because, and this could also apply to Philip, you guys both understand like both sides of those challenges like pretty in depth. Like, you both are thru-hikers and you're both peak baggers as well. And like I said, I feel like most people are either peak baggers or they're thru-hikers. So, and I'm both too, so I don't know, that's probably why it like sticks out to me, I guess. But I think that's kind of cool that you can kind of see both sides of that.
Yeah, and I think that something that I've definitely noticed is that in thru-hiking we have the affectionate term of hiker trash, where it's just kind of like, like the people that just leave everything behind. And I feel like for peak baggers, those types of folks usually are holding down jobs and are doing the whole like work-life balance thing, whether it's a job or a family or a relationship. And again, yeah, like that's something that I think we all understand. And I think part of why it's important for me, at least, to sort of like share this is just for like, and I really try to like write about my experience, including, like working while doing this, for people that are working, and that may never be able to go on a thru hike, to be like, no, like you can achieve something that is really valuable. Like, and I think like peak bagging and section hiking are great for that. Like you don't have to go on a thru hike to get that, that like once in a lifetime huge accomplishment feeling. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
And I think we've all balanced that. And I think it's really interesting. Like Philip has definitely given back to the community through sharing his story. And I think I'm trying to do the same thing. And like you have this podcast, which I think is like an additional way that like you're still connected to that community and still give back to that community, even though you're also holding down a job. So, so yeah, I was actually thinking sort of like about that too, about the ways that we all balance that and find ways to give back.
Kate, are you ready to do your story?
Oh my God.
I didn't forget. Yes. By the way, I found that article, so it is still up there.
Is it bad?
I don't know. I haven't read it, but February 5th, 2016. So. Oh.
I'm going to have to look after we stop recording.
It's a slightly different title than it's not like peak bagging versus thru hiking. It's slightly different. So yeah, good luck finding it, people. Although I guess you could just search my name and go look through my posts on the trek. So
yeah.
Anyways, yeah, let's do a story. Let's embarrass Sam or
my sister,
whatever you're gonna say.
So my sister dropped me off at Katahdin during my very first thru hike, and I really didn't know a lot about thru hiking, and so she was really nice and kind and decided to hike Katahdin with me to send me off. And so we were hiking Katahdin and we got to tree line, and like we're both from the Catskills, so we saw the sunlight. We were like, oh sweet, like we're already at the top, like we're so fast. This is awesome. And then we saw the rest of it. And so we were ridiculously underprepared, and my sister was so underprepared that she only had one sock. A single sock. So we ended up tying my buff around her foot, because like when we knew we hit trail, we were like, we are fucked, like where the fuck are we, what is going on? So that was me and Sam's first experience with the Alpine Zone, and man, she came off that mountain like her foot was bloody. It was bloody as hell. And she got in my Toyota Camry and she drove away and she left me in the middle of Maine. And then 4 years later, I got to stand with her on Springer Mountain at the completion of her thru hike. So it all turned out okay.
With two socks this time, I hope.
Yeah, with two socks this time. Like it all turned out all right. But I did want to share with your listeners that my sister did indeed. Her first summit of Katahdin was without one sock.
So, I have a lot of questions about this. So,
like, what the fuck were we doing?
See, I feel like, I mean, everybody's has their story of like their first hike and what they did to like highlight how they were underprepared or whatever, the stupid shit they brought or didn't bring. But I feel like only bringing one sock, that's not even like a being not prepared for the hike thing. That's just like, how the fuck do you not have two socks? Like, I don't even, how's that even a thing?
I don't, like, to be honest, I don't even like remember what happened to the sock. I just remember us being like, oh, like, it's not a big deal. Like, it's not a big deal.
Has
it's
she
like,
ever
just like a little
like walked around anywhere without a sock on, like in
God.
sneakers? Like, how did
Well,
that?
that's sort of the thing. No, she like lives in flip flops, so I think the issue was like,
okay.
Yeah, was like she was like, oh, I'll switch to sneakers and didn't bring socks. And then like when we realized this mountain was fucking huge, she was like, oh shit, I better put on my socks. And there was only one.
That makes a little bit more sense then. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because like that's like different than like forgetting your rain jacket or like your headlamp or like something like that. Like, how do you forget a sock? But all right, that
it's more weird and it's more embarrassing, and that's why it was in the forefront of my brain.
That is so funny. Now I'm gonna have Sam on when you're hearing this. Sam, you're coming on. Is what I'm saying, and she's gonna have the opportunity to to give it back to you, I guess, and even the playing field here. So,
no.
Sam, start thinking. I'll reach out. We'll set something up, and
oh god,
yeah. So, be ready
for the public humiliation. All right.
That's what Trail Tales is all about: public humiliation.
Man, Philip and Elton did the same thing, so I don't feel bad.
True. Caet, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for taking the time out of your crazy schedule, it sounds like. Where are you recording? If you live in a van, like, where are you recording this from right now?
Oh, yeah. So I had to go get good Wi-Fi, so I did end up going to the gym because they have very fast free Wi-Fi.
Oh, another reason to get the gym pass. Sweet.
Oh, heck
good
yeah.
stuff. Are you just, like, in the lobby right now? Are people just, like, working out in the background, like, wait a minute, this girl's hiked so much shit, like, that's crazy.
No, I went into one of like the, you know how they have like the small like yoga rooms and stuff like that? Yeah, so I'm in one of the yoga rooms. It's nice and quiet.
So good.
You make it work.
That is awesome. Caet, thank you so much. Where can people go to find you on Instagram and Facebook and MySpace and all that good stuff?
So the best place to grab me is probably Instagram. I update that pretty frequently. And I am at Woodswoman with a Y. So it's WOODSWOMYN. And you can find me there.
Good stuff. As always, I'll have a link to that in the show notes. I think that's going to do it, Caet. Thank you so much to everybody listening. Have a good one. Don't forget to check out the Patreon. Shameless plug once again. Yeah, thank you for listening, and have a good one.